This Alexa Flash Briefing is sponsored by Team Automotive Group.
Good morning. It is Monday, August 5th. Thanks for joining us for this morning Alexa briefing. There's a lot to cover. Let's start here in the world of weather. Hurricane Debbie, you heard that right, hurricane. As you went to bed last night, Debbie was actually a tropical storm strengthening in the overnight hours right around 4:30 this morning. WAFB meteorologist Jared Silverman says it actually made landfall there in the coastline of Florida in the Big Bend area. Thankfully, though, this may be a saving grace. He says that it made landfall in one of the least populated portions of Florida, kind of near Horseshoe Beach. Does that sound familiar to you? Doesn't for many people, because there's really no population there. There's not really a lot of homes that we've been tracking on the map. Jared was showing us the different signs and area there as he can't find a close enough camera. We got to look at Clearwater Beach, though, as the waves were coming ashore, as the area was kind of dealing with the wind impact. We're still going to follow Debbie here as it moves its way through Florida, eventually making its way to South Carolina and Georgia. Still big here as that area, that part of the U.S. expecting some record rainfall, possibly some flooding here as they deal with this storm. We're going to track all of those impacts for you, but just know on this Monday morning, Debbie has made landfall there in the Big Bend of Florida. As for our part of the world, Jared says we are in for more heat. In fact, some of that impacting us, causing the moisture to stay in that part of the world. So it's going to be hot and muggy for us. In fact, in the next couple of days, we're looking at a couple of days here, more than a couple. In fact, 6 days where we may see temperatures of 100 degrees or more. A lot to follow. So if you are going to be outside this week, maybe you work outside, maybe as your kiddos head back to school, you're going to want to make sure you're drinking a lot of water and taking those precautions to take some heat breaks and go inside so you avoid any heat exhaustion. As we follow all of that in the world of weather, let this be a reminder here. FEMA wants us to be top of mind. Matt Venezia actually spoke with a FEMA official talking about making sure you and your family have that game plan prepared. And part of that involves having a flood insurance policy. Keep in mind, if you don't have one now, but you decide to get one, it does not kick in for another 30 days. But if you are trying to figure out how do I best protect me and my family, well, Matt has an important resource, FEMA, breaking down the costs, breaking down policies by what you need, what you and your family may need. Because remember, it is not a one-size-fits-all policy. So if you're looking for that, he's got a great breakdown in his web story. Just go to the 9 News app or WAFB.com. You can even hear snippets of his conversation with leaders from FEMA and maybe talk about the things that you and your family may want to consider. That's going to be different from what your neighbor or maybe the next neighborhood, any of them pay. So you can find all that information, the breakdown, waiting for you in the 9 News app. Another big conversation we're following today is who will be Vice President Kamala Harris's vice president on the ticket there, the Democratic ticket for the 2024 race to the White House. She's expected to announce that pick sometime today or tomorrow, as that deadline is tomorrow. In fact, once she makes that announcement, her pick for VP, well, she and that person will end up hitting the campaign trail in 7 battleground states, including Pennsylvania. That is one of the Keystone state, actually. If that delegation can win Pennsylvania, well, it could be an indication of who would win the White House. A source familiar with the campaign says that Harris and her team actually met with Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. So who will she name? As soon as she announces that pick, we will push it to you through the 9 News app. We also want to get you back to some local headlines here. We're tracking a double shooting in Addis, and police need your help figuring out who the shooter is. We're told this happened sometime Sunday evening, and authorities are still looking for that person who fired those shots. We're told one man was pronounced dead there at the scene. We're told another man is in critical condition. Now, we're also told here that the shooter ran away from the scene before officers were able to get there. Now, this kind of happened in a familiar part of area where there are quite a few residents on Chad Drive east of Highway 1, LA 1 there in West Baton Rouge Parish. So if any of this sounds familiar to you, maybe Sunday night you heard something that you think might be able to help investigators, it is a call to Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP. You might be eligible for a cash reward, and your tips will always remain anonymous. We're also gearing up for the back to school year here, and as a lot of parishes in our viewing area get ready to kick off the first day of school, WAFB is going to be your back-to-school headquarters. Our digital team has done a great job of putting together all of the resources you and your family will need, including maybe a list of remaining giveaways or school supply drives, or maybe you want to know different first days for different school districts in our viewing area. They have an easy way for you to find it, WAFB.com. Just look for Back to School right there in the top tab, or if you're going through the app, the 9 News app, make sure you look for the Back to School bubble. And by the way, we would love to see your kids as they head off to school. 9reports.com or that bubble there on the 9 News app is going to be the best place to send us your photo for your kiddos going back. We'd love to celebrate them and wish them well in the beginning of a brand new school year. Hey, speaking of making sure that all kids are geared up, we want to make sure that every child in the WFB viewing area has uniforms to wear for that very first day and then the year ahead. We are partnering with St. Vincent de Paul again for our Uniforms for Kids drive, and we want to reach that mark of 16,000 uniforms at least. So to help us out, if you have any new or gently used uniforms that your kids maybe just aren't wearing right now, consider dropping them off at one of our many locations, which you can find at wafb.com/uniforms, or just go to that website. You can also make a monetary donation because $24 will get a child a uniform, 2 sets of uniforms, one to wash and one to wear, to ensure that they don't have to worry about what to wear for the brand new school year. That is also going to be a big relief to mom and dad, so they don't have to worry about that either. Again, WAFB is your back to school headquarters, and we're going to keep our eyes on all things this week. And you want to tune in for our live coverage on 9 News this morning. We're going to pop up in a different school all throughout this weekend next, so you never know whether you may be featured. You never know whether we will show up at your school, but we do want to wish you a happy new school year and a happy Monday. Stay with us. We've got news updates all day on 9 News.
Sponsored by Team Automotive Group.